What's up, guys? I'm BTC. There are a lot of problems with the competitive ladder. The first things that come to mind are going to be the throwers, the levers, one tricks, all that sort of stuff, but that's all controlled by the players. There is one thing specifically that Blizzard is in sole control of, and it seems to get worse and worse with every single season. So for a lot of the stuff in the competitive ladder, as far as the quality of the games, a lot of it falls on the players themselves. But there's also some things that are kind of a mix of the players and Blizzard, both of their responsibilities. And then there's some stuff that is only the responsibility of Blizzard. And as I mentioned, it keeps getting worse and worse with every season. And what I'm talking about are the server disconnects. Those server disconnects have been plaguing Overwatch ever since the game was released. Now, I've been playing multiplayer games for quite a few years. Quake, CSGO, Dota, lots of different MMOs, and I can say without a doubt, Overwatch has the absolute worst server connectivity I have ever experienced of any multiplayer game. So there are a bunch of different kinds of disconnects, and whenever you try to contact Blizzard technical support, or people bring it up on their forums, Blizzard will always say the same thing. They try to pass the blame onto the players, like, oh, well, it must be your computer or your ISP. And while it's certainly true that there are some cases where the fault lies with the player's connection, there are many, many times, I would say the majority of the disconnects lie at the fault of Blizzard servers and their connection. Now, there are a couple of really good examples of this. So the first one is at the very start of the game disconnect, where people will be in a game, they're in the spawn room waiting for the match to start. They have full access to the voice comms, they're able to move around in the spawn room, interact with everybody, there's absolutely no lag whatsoever, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're just instantly disconnect. It goes from full 100% connectivity to instantly zero, and they're booted out of the game. Now, this has happened to me, I've seen this happen to I don't even know how many countless other players, and I'm sure you guys have had it happen to you, or you've seen it happen to many, many other people. Someone is in the spawn room, just walking around, talking in the voice comms, and all of a sudden, boom, they're just gone. Now, this is not on their end. This is 100% on Blizzard's end, because if it was on the player's end, then the player would be experiencing some kind of lag. I mean, I've seen that when there was an issue on my end where all of a sudden everything starts rubber banding and there's just lots and lots of lag and packet loss and stuff. That is clearly on the player's end. But when you have 100% connectivity and then it's just instantly dropped, that is on Blizzard's end. Now, that is the worst because that means that you guaranteed a loss for that match, you lose your 50 points, and you also get a suspension for, usually it's 10 minutes, but if you've been disconnected or you left games, then it's going to be a little bit more. Now, that is the worst case. Now, another one that happens quite frequently, but thankfully it's not nearly as bad, is the mid-game disconnect. So, there seems to be some problem with the game or the Blizzard servers where when the rounds switch over, so you're on attack and then you switch to defense, something happens that causes players to simply be disconnected. And again, this is the same thing. They have a perfect connection, and then all of a sudden, as soon as the round switches and you go to the other side, just instantly disconnected. Now, because this is the mid-game switch, it doesn't really matter because most people are going to be able to close down their client and restart it before the next round starts. So the only thing they're going to miss is a little bit of the warm-up time in between games. Now, of course, there are other times when you get booted during the middle of a round. Now, this has happened to me. I've seen it's happened to other people quite a bit. You're moving around, there's absolutely no lag whatsoever, and then all of a sudden you're just instantly disconnected as if, like, someone had just cut the line and you just completely dropped. But the thing is, because I live stream I can actively monitor my internet connection. And I have a very solid internet connection. So I've got roughly 200 down and about 30 up. So when I'm live streaming, I can monitor it because I have to check the stream's health and all that sort of stuff. So if there's any dips, if there's any lag, if there's, any packet loss or anything significant that goes on, then I'm able to see it and notice it right away. But I can notice that I can be streaming at a fairly good quality and have absolutely no problems, no packet loss, no frame loss whatsoever, and all of a sudden in-game, I just instantly get disconnected. Now, there is absolutely no doubt that this is on Blizzard's end. So now it brings me to the point of why I'm even making this video. I feel I need to bring more attention to the fact that there are significant levels of disconnects that are going on, and Blizzard really isn't doing anything to address them. Now, there will be days where people are constantly getting disconnected, and Blizzard won't even mention it at all. Now, sometimes they might make a tweet, or they'll say something in the Battle.net launcher saying, oh, we're experiencing some issues, but there are other days when people will be constantly getting disconnected, and Blizzard simply doesn't say anything. So you have all these players who will queue up for these matches and then get punished for these disconnects that they have absolutely no control over. There are simply way too many consistencies and similarities between all of these disconnects for them all to be just at the player's fault. I don't believe that even for a second. There are some pretty significant issues that need to be resolved with the connection. So now I want to hear from you guys. How often do you see those just spontaneous disconnects that happen at the beginning of the game or in the mid-match when the rounds are switching over? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. The links are down below. Thanks for watching. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.